If you're selling on Amazon and you're regularly browsing YouTube for advice on how to increase your sales, like me, then you've probably noticed that while there are many how-to guides and step-by-step tutorials for new sellers, there doesn't seem to be so much content explaining Amazon's overall business strategy and how this impacts the businesses of small-scale or individual sellers, which is extremely important for anyone selling on this platform. So today, for my very first video, I decided to talk exactly about that. Before we set off, let me welcome you to the Modern Sellers. If this is your first time on this channel, my name is Martin and I'm a full-time Amazon e-commerce manager specializing mostly on brand building, customer engagement, and competitive strategies. I've built this channel in my spare time to help individual sellers build a long-term, sustainable online business that will ultimately give financial freedom. So if that's your case, then welcome. And whether you're new or not, I hope you enjoyed this video and find it useful in growing your Amazon business. Don't worry about taking any notes. I've included a link in the description to a downloadable PowerPoint summary of the video for you. So why is it important to understand Amazon? Why is it important to understand your business environment, aka Amazon's mission and vision? Understanding your environment is critical to the long-term success of your business. Sun Tzu, one of the world's greatest military strategists ever, coined it as Earth, one of the 5 critical elements for success in his legendary classic The Art of War, which you might have heard of. Distances great and small, danger and security, open ground and narrow passes, the chance for life and death. Great book, by the way, I recommend it. It's also fairly short. Now, this might seem to be far-fetched since we're talking about Amazon, but actually this principle is a lot more relevant than it seems at first glance. Understanding the Earth means understanding the environment in which you're going to fight, and in our case, compete. Let's take a simple example, okay? A game of Monopoly. Would you be confident in winning the game if you didn't know the rules? Who do you think would stand a better chance of winning? Someone who knows which streets give the highest returns and have the highest likelihood of having somebody land of them? Or somebody who is just winging it? What about playing chess without knowing which positions give you the strongest advantage? Do you think you could beat even a decent amateur player without that knowledge? So knowing how Amazon works and what its business objectives are is like knowing the rules of the game and how it functions. And if you know the rules and the inner workings better than your competition, you will already be ahead of them. Before we dive into how Amazon works, let's look at the environment that's even larger than this. E-commerce. So what are the impacts of not having your customers physically in your shop? And how can you leverage this to your advantage? Well, if you're already selling online, I don't have to tell you about the advantages and disadvantages from a seller's point of view, as you've most likely considered those before going into this business venture. So instead, let's talk about the biggest advantages and disadvantages from your customer's point of view, as this is going to be the main factor behind your industry's shape. Now, I know this might seem like going back to the basics, but it's really crucial to understand the reasons behind your customers even going online and not to physical shops. As online sellers, we tend to get so focused on specific details that we tend to forget to look at the big picture every now and then and remind ourselves of the core principles. And that's why I want to mention this first. So going back to Sun Tzu's example, if your business environment is the Earth, then your customer's psychology represents the tectonic plates that shift around and shape it. Knowing why your customers will purchase online, and more importantly, what they expect from you, is critical to your business long-term success. So firstly, let's talk about the greatest advantage of e-commerce, which, as you may guess, is its convenience. You've been wanting to get yourself a new set of warm socks for a while now as winter is approaching, and you said you'd do it today, but the couch is feeling extra comfy, you've had a long day, it's raining outside, you'd have to get in your car, drive to the shops. Nah, let's order them online. Not only is this a physical convenience, having the comfy socks delivered straight to your door, but it's also a mental one. No need to go through several shops and aisles trying to find that pair that you have in mind. Simply type it in the search bar and voila, there you go. Understanding that most customers buy online due to convenience is a critical aspect to take into account for the success of your business. After all, If ordering online was as tedious as going outside, then why not go to a shop instead? Most customers actually prefer to go to a shop because unlike browsing online, they can interact with the product. I mean, they can see it, touch it, feel it, talk to a human being about it, ask questions, read the packaging easily, and so on. This highlights the biggest disadvantage of e-commerce, which is that the experience that your customers can have is limited to only two senses: vision and audio. There are many ways to replicate an experience as closely as possible to having the real thing in front of your customers, which I will explain in more detail in future videos. But as a principle, whatever you do in terms of online marketing and product showcasing, you will want to emulate as closely as possible the experience that your customers would have if they were to actually have the product in their own hands. Another hurdle that you have to consider is how easily your customers can go ahead and get what they want. This is usually one of the most ignored pain points of e-commerce businesses, who often focus too much on convincing the customer to buy and not enough on ensuring a proper follow-up. Now, the great thing with Amazon is that this process is all done and best optimized for you, which means that you don't have to worry about things like checkout difficulties, payment methods, or even delivery timing if you are using FBA, which, by the way, I highly recommend not only to pass that burden to Amazon, but also because this works in your favor in terms of how Amazon views your business. But these are the very broad expectations that we've seen ever since e-commerce has started out. So what are the customer expectations from e-commerce nowadays? According to several studies, online shoppers are more than ever expecting brand transparency, personalization, and a strong business-led push to creating a loyal relationship between them and the brand they use. They're expecting brands that not only provide great products that are going to help them live better lives, but also brands that have a personality of their own that they can relate with and approve of. This means that a modern e-business has to go beyond just a great-looking product with a cool list of features. It needs to feel like a friend. People like to buy from people, not brands. While having a smoothly operating e-commerce business was enough of a competitive advantage a few years ago, it's now so ingrained in our expectations that it no longer really provides you with a moat around your business castle, as the renowned investor Warren Buffett likes to put it. And if you'll allow a little bit of self-promotion, building a business around this philosophy is exactly what this channel is about. Now that we talk about general e-commerce, let's bite into the juicy bit: Amazon's vision and mission. Amazon is built around one thing: customer satisfaction. We aim to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. Our mission is to continually raise the bar of the customer experience by using the internet and technology to help consumers find, discover, and buy anything, and empower businesses and content creators to maximize their success. It's quite embellished, and we're not fools. We know that for a business to grow, they still need to turn a profit, or in Amazon's case, the prospect of future earnings. But making sure that customers make a habit of buying on Amazon because they've had a good experience is and will remain the core strategy behind Amazon's growth when it comes to its e-commerce operations. So what does this mean for you? If your business is in line with Amazon's objectives, then you'll never have to worry about whether Amazon might see you as a disturbance to their mission. As such, it's really critical for the long term to have a business that is oriented towards your customers. And in fact, that's exactly the marketing philosophy that I will promote on this channel. As far as I see it, this is the way to go, and that's what I've learned personally, and that's what a lot of people who are smarter than me have been saying in the last few years. And this is only going to get stronger and more important every year. So this means that everything that you do, plan, or undertake needs to take into account that it somehow must benefit Amazon's customers. And notice I didn't say your customers, because as far as Amazon is concerned, these are their customers. They're coming directly to their website looking for a product, and then they choose you or your competitors' products. The customers who will buy and eventually interact with the product will associate it with a purchase over Amazon, which means that if you provide a positive experience for the customer, this customer is in turn more likely to purchase on Amazon again, which is a step forward for Amazon in terms of them reaching their vision. And similarly, if they have a negative experience, this is more likely to push them away from purchasing on Amazon in the future. And Amazon is very, very aware of that fact. Are you able to help us become the #1 platform for purchase in the world? Or are you preventing us from becoming that? This has become even more so in the last few years as more and more companies have been trying to take away Amazon's crown over the e-commerce industry, such as Walmart, for example. So you might have as a business objective to reach financial freedom by making a certain amount of profit a year by selling on Amazon. But you have to remember that Amazon doesn't give a crap about what your objectives are. And it's actually big enough that it has the full power to toss you out at any time it wants. There's loads of people out there who want to sell on Amazon, and many of them will be willing to play by their rules. This doesn't mean that you have to completely sacrifice your independence and become a minion of Amazon, but you have to understand that by selling on Amazon, you are accepting a deal. You get to have a shot at a pool of millions of customers that they have painstakingly acquired over decades of hard work and razor-thin margins if you accept to contribute to their survival and their vision. After that, it's up to you to decide whether you're ready to take that deal or not. The great thing about this system is that the more you get Amazon to think that you're making a contribution to their cause, the more incentive they will have to grow your business. This means more exposure than your competitors, even if you're late to the race. And this is a big advantage of Amazon that you've heard of. Being able to make tens of thousands, if not hundreds or even millions of dollars in sales in a matter of just a few months, most often a few years. Sure, it takes more than having simply a customer-oriented business to do so, but without that business mentality, it's very hard to reach such numbers. So ultimately, this is what you want to keep in mind. How can I best leverage Amazon to serve my own business objectives while contributing to theirs? I would strongly advise to have this sentence written somewhere where you can easily see it and refer to it every now and then. Because if you go by it, you will have a much easier time finding out ways to be more successful on Amazon. If you're following a little bit on how Amazon is expanding these days, you might be reading that many sellers are losing sales because Amazon decided to start selling the same products. And of course, Amazon is going to promote Amazon more than it's going to promote you. So this might seem gloomy and discouraging at first, but here's how you can deal with this. Make sure that Amazon cannot be better at making happy customers than you can. It's that simple. As we've now seen, Amazon's vision is to become the first choice for any prospective buyer throughout the world. If it thinks that they can do a better job of this than you can, then eventually, yes, it will. So how can this be done when they offer lower prices due to economies of scale? Well, what do you have that Amazon doesn't? It doesn't have you. Amazon cannot replicate the complexities of who you are and what you can buy to people. It cannot create the same story. It can't tell your story like you can. It can't talk to your customers like you can. Amazon is a huge corporation, and as much as it's come with many advantages, it cannot have the advantage of being a human being. That is your advantage. And guess what? People buy from people, not corporations. As long as you manage to leverage that advantage, you will have an edge over Amazon. And as long as you have that edge, Amazon's best course of action when it comes to your business is just to let it thrive. Once you truly understand all of this, then you will have a better understanding of the environment in which you are, the earth that you're standing on. And unlike your competitors who will be rocked and confused when the inevitable changes will come, you will stand stronger because you will know how the game works better than they do. This is the end of the video. I hope that you found it useful and it helps you understand how you can compete on Amazon in the long term. Don't forget that you can download the notes pack in the description box below so you can easily review the ideas again anytime you wish. In the next video, I will be talking about setting your business objectives so you can maximize your chances for long-term success and avoid the common pitfalls of the plan-as-you-go business approach. So if this is of interest to you, I recommend that you subscribe and enable the notification bell so you can know straight away when it comes out and then apply these tips as soon as possible. On that note, I wish you a good week and let's keep selling.